Welcome to Sashiko Live Streaming. This is Atsushi. It's been a long time. It's about a month, I guess. And I appreciate for you coming back, and I really appreciate for you waiting. And I apologize for the previous time for canceling that. But I'm glad to be back. And this is the live streaming where I talk about Sashiko while doing the Sashiko stitching. This is not a tutorial, so I will not stop stitching when I receive the question about techniques. So I will not probably answer the questions on how to, but I'm happy to answer any questions relating to the Sashiko from the cultural or like philosophical perspective. The questions that I can answer without stopping stitching that. And yeah, that's about it, I guess. It's been a long time. I have been kind of ill from both physical and then mental status. So I will explain that a little bit. I will talk about it a little bit. And then hopefully I can talk about something else, something productive for that. Little bit of announcement because I have been vacant for a while. Thank you. I really appreciate for those who sign up for the in-person class workshops in 2025. I will have the Sashiko retreat as well as the kind of stitching retreat in July and in August. One is in the Wisconsin, one is in Maine. Both of them are sold out at this moment. So if you'd like to join that, please contact to the organization if they are accepting the waiting list or not. Wait just a second. Is my audio go? Check. Yeah, there you go. Sorry. Sorry about that. So, yep, there's nothing I can do about those registrations. So if you could go to their organizations, that'd be helpful. And the detail can be found from the website listed on the description area. Same goes to the Sashiko Japan Retreat 2025. We will have the Sashiko Japan Retreat, which is a series of workshops in Japan. And while we're traveling in Japan or spending time in Japan, I will organize a series of Sashiko workshops, classes. And I'm not going to be the teacher much. I will be the facilitator. I will invite many guest teachers to teach. And it is my best intention to keep offering this retreat even after 2025. So if you're interested in that, please check the description, and then if you could sign up for the waiting list, that would help me to organize it more. Those are two things. Nothing actually has been changed. Nothing changed in the last 30 days. So I will just go back to stitching and talking about Sashiko. Let me just change the camera. How have you been? How have everybody been doing? It's quite strange. It is a very big relief. It's a very, very, very big relief that I came back. At the same time, it's kind of strange that, once again, it has been a month since I talked to the camera in English. So it's like a little bit of a rehabilitation that I am coming back to the ordinary. So it is kind of true that I have been feeling under the weather last few months. It's quite scary that I have been feeling under the weather last few months, but it kind of comes and goes. One day I feel perfectly fine, and then one day I feel a little sick. But it's not like a significant sick that I have to stop doing everything. It's like not feeling great. And I think that's what age does. my body does not function as I expect. I do not do exercise as I'm supposed to be doing, so that doesn't help neither. My physical level is quite low. I don't have time for myself much, but again, that's probably what it is. And that's what being an adult or being old for that matter. So it's not something that I have to probably worry about in the big picture. But it does not really fully recovered. But 2 weeks ago, when I well, actually last week, no, 2 weeks ago when I canceled the live streaming right before the happening, it was the day that I felt really sick, and then I had a fever. That's why I had to cancel the live streaming. And yeah, then I kind of stayed in the bed for a few days over the weekend, actually, for 5 days or so, no, 4 days or so. Then I got recovered. So technically speaking, I could have done the live streaming last week. At the same time, my mental status was not really ready to speak up about something related to Sashiko. And in those kind of quiet time, when we get sick, we have a lot of time to, of course, we have to focus on repairing ourselves. So we sleep a lot. At the same time, we will have a lot of quiet time. And I kind of realized a lot of things that I did not want to admit when I was busy. And I started feeling that it is bad, as it's worse than, no, how can I put this way? I'm talking about Sashiko, not about anything else. I'm not gonna talk about anything else besides Sashiko, so don't assume that I'm talking about something else, but I'm talking about Sashiko. My goal in Sashiko, what I want to do, what I want to achieve in Sashiko is to leave the Sashiko practice we have been doing behind. And that's the core of what I'm trying to do. And thanks to many, many people, that goal has been somewhat achieved. Especially those who took my workshop and who has been the Sashiko artisans in last, few years. Their Sashiko proves that our Sashiko will be preserved. And I kind of feel that I achieved that goal. And because of the achievement, I felt that I kind of at lost. I was not sure where I was going. Like losing the goal. And, sharing the Sashiko story is not really the goal. It's more like a vehicle to reach to the goal. It's the medium to go to the goal. And I had a time to think about what is the goal that I would like to achieve after I achieve the first goal. And then I realized that that's preserving or even protecting the Sashiko I recovered, or not even recovered. Recovered is something that I did. The Sashiko I observed to be recovered or to preserved. Now I would like to protect it. So the first goal was to see if I can leave it behind. Now my goal shifted to if I can be their help. Preserve or protect is probably a very strong word when I use for the culture, but frankly speaking, more little break it down. I would like to protect, or I would like to support the artisans who can dance on the stage. So my goal is to preserve or to help or to make it stronger, to make this strong, to reinforce the stage that those who practice Sashiko, those who like Sashiko, to keep performing or dancing or jumping. In this analogy, it's stitching without worrying about the fundamental or structure. And because of this shift, which I was not really clear until very recently, I find those who are not doing Sashiko very annoying. There are two kind of groups of people in Sashiko right now, and those two groups are unfortunately going very opposite direction, and the gap between those two are getting bigger and bigger. It's not my intention to divide anything. At the same time, that change is happening so quickly that, and there's nothing we can do because those difference between those two groups are quite significant. Those two groups are I probably keep saying this, so you may be tired of hearing that. But the group one is those who like Sashiko, including the one who likes stitching Sashiko or who likes collecting Sashiko items, who likes the idea of Sashiko, who likes the beauty of Sashiko or something something about Sashiko. So I want the main character to be those who keep stitching, but the sustainability of Sashiko will be preserved when the stitcher is not only the part of those system or ecosystem. Stitchers are, I hope that they are gonna be the main part of it, but at the same time, stitchers cannot create the whole system. Those who wants to own Sashiko or those who wants to elevate Sashiko to other level. Anyway, the people who like Sashiko but not stitching Sashikos are a very important part of that. So in my ideal world, I would like to discuss what is Sashiko, what is the future of Sashiko or definition of Sashiko, and the techniques, anything. I would like to share anything, discuss anything within this group. Within this group, we have some difference too. Not everybody share the same ideas. Not everybody has same goal. So it's okay to kind of discuss or share ideas. Sometimes even fighting might be a good idea. But there are completely another different group of the people. And that people are those who likes the outcome of saying that they like Sashiko. So by them saying that they like Sashiko, there are some, usually it's a profit or it's fame, it's something comforting, something beneficial. But they don't necessarily like Sashiko or they don't even care what Sashiko is, or they don't really care what it is itself. But they enjoy using the word Sashiko because they like the outcome by just saying that. And before the Sashiko becomes trend, this wouldn't happen because those outcome would be close to zero. If one would use the word Sashiko when nobody knows what Sashiko is, they wouldn't get anything. So it's meaningless to use that word. But because of the trend, as much as that I get so many newcomers, new people coming to the learning what Sashiko is, there are bigger trend, bigger flow of those who does not really care about it. And it's kind of nonsense or there's no it's meaningless or it's impossible to even talk about Sashiko with those who don't share the same likeness or same preference. And they probably won't, because talking, discussion, stitching, those requires time, and they don't want to spend time in doing that. They want to spend time in something else, which directly result in some of the things they want to have. So this is the byproduct of trend. I had an interview with one podcast. I think the podcast will be on the air within a few weeks, I guess. And the question from her, we talked a lot of things, and one question is that, what do I think about, no, do I think if Sashiko would, this trend of Sashiko would either help or harm the sort of the original form of Sashiko culture? And I answered, it's kind of cheesy way to answer, it's either both. It could hurt and it could of course help too. But what I'm seeing right now is quite, not even seeing, what I have been, it's not right now, it's something I have been seeing. I had been seeing that for many years, but I did not want to admit it, is that Sashiko is becoming, or has become, or even had become something completely different from what I knew. And those who initiated this change are most likely not those who enjoy Sashiko itself. The key players or those who lead this trend are those who enjoy the outcome of saying that they like Sashiko. So, it's kind of depressing. And I just wanted to, I did not want to do anything. I think that's why I kind of stopped. It's not like a depression, but I wanted to just do Sashiko stitching. I wanted to detach from the reality. And I did not want to do anything. So it's kind of close to the depression stage, but not like, depression, not the clinical depression that I had to stay in the bed for, and thinking about something negative all the time. That's not what I was in, but it's kind of a little bit closer to that. Like, what's the point? And I may go back there because it's quite big discovery within myself that my goal has shifted, and it is quite difficult to the wall is too high to climb. The first wall was not that high when I realized that the possibility, the teamwork, the team I have, and the ability I gained, the first wall was somewhat doable. That's why I didn't get this kind of discouraged. But the second wall I am trying to climb up is a bit too much. I don't know what I need to do. I don't know what kind of equipment I have to prepare to climb. So it's overwhelming. It is overwhelming, and I don't. It is probably too late. Well, not probably. It is too late, and I have been saying that it has been too late, but it's fully kicking in that it's not too late for those who just wants to enjoy Sashiko. So if your goal, and I hope that your goal is to just enjoy Sashiko, or even like you can if you wanna be like artist with using Sashiko, go ahead. Um, you being here is already the sign of acknowledgement. So I'm not gonna. You like Sashiko. You like the Sashiko artisans who is doing Sashiko is good enough already. And unless you start saying like, well, I don't care what Sashiko is, but I like the money or the followers I can get by saying Sashiko. If one starts saying that while watching this live streaming, then that's gonna be an issue. But those who say that will not come to this live streaming because it's a waste of time. So I'm not really worried about them coming here and then, challenging me for that because they will find watching this live streaming, well, I mean, as the waste of time. Yeah, they won't really find it meaningful. I think you're already doing what you need to. Just keep stitching, keep sharing. Yes, yes. Yes. I appreciate that, the qualification. I agree with you. So I explained that there are two goals, right? I have two goals. One goal is accomplished. One goal was to preserve this Sashiko we have been practicing. That will be achieved. That will be achieved. That's not achieved already, but that will be achieved because there are numbers of people who can do the Sashiko we practice right now. So by them stitching, some will be preserved. In 2016, 17, I had nobody who could represent me or who could do Sashiko the way we enjoyed, because that was the way to preserve the culture, to keep it secret, and I did not know how to spread this. But after 8 years, many people can do the Sashiko or even do better than us. Sashiko, so that will be preserved. The first goal is achieved, will be achieved. The second goal to protect the stage that I created will I will, in order to achieve that goal, it is very true that what I am doing right now is everything I probably have to do. One thing I was not ready about is that it's gonna be quite painful. It's not an easy job. I wouldn't say that last 8 years was easy job, but it wasn't. It was sometimes painful, but it was not. It was painful, but I see more possible pain from now on. Because at some point, I would probably have to say that's not Sashiko. As much as I want to say it, I don't say that right now because I respect. And by me saying that, there's a risk of me narrowing it down. And within the category of the first group, as I explained, within the first group, if they like Sashiko in from a different perspective, I will not say that what they like is Sashiko, because we are different, but we are the same under the terms of liking Sashiko itself. But at some point, I probably have to say that I will probably have to say something confronting to those who like the outcome of saying Sashiko, because they don't care. And that pain is, I mean, there's no choice of me not doing it. So no matter what happens, I gotta do it. This is my identity. Like, no matter how painful, difficult our life becomes, we cannot just give up. I mean, some people give up, but you know, I'm not that level yet. So yes, I am doing everything I can. Well, there might be something else, but I may have to do something I define as something outside of Sashiko. Defining what Sashiko is something I don't want to do because of many reasons. But at some point, I probably have to, because of the other trend. And I don't like that. I'm whining. It's purely whining. So do you think your relationship will change when you become an authority? My relationship with Sashiko. Thank you for Claude. Do I think that my relationship with Sashiko will change when you become an authority? I hope not. I hope not. But I don't trust myself that much. So this is something I really don't usually say it, but today I am in this topic, so I will say that. But I am from that. So my family, I was born in the Sashiko family. The Sashiko family here is defined as the family who made living out of doing Sashiko. So I don't know. I hope so, but I don't know if my family, especially the top, liked Sashiko. She may be the one who liked the outcome of Sashiko, and the chance is pretty high because that's what I've seen in my childhood. At the same time, I saw many other people who like Sashiko in the form of artisan. So I have seen both. And authority is something that she wanted to have, and she probably had at some point. I was a very small kid, but authority is something I have seen and I kind of despise for that matter. So I don't want to be like that. And I cannot control the reaction from the people to the authority. And it's quite scary because if I say that this is Sashiko, then many people understand that the things I define as Sashiko is the only one Sashiko and everything else is not. No matter how much I try to be careful on that, that will be a very possible outcome. And that's kind of what's happening right now. I mean, sometimes I say that those teachers or authors are really responsible for this change. I don't think they wanted to change Sashiko this much, but one thing for sure is that they wanted to be, or they are still wanting to be, the authorities of Sashiko to sustain their business, sustain their reputations. Um, and because of that, because of their willingness to be the authorities and because of what we value the most. Some people value the publication more than anything. Some people values the fact that I am Japanese or I'm from Japan, with saying that that's authentic. So based on what we value, the authority change. And I don't trust I hope that nothing will change. But when I accept that I'm authority, then something is changing already. I will never accept that I'm the authority because I don't want you to think that what I say is the only answer. That's like a foundation. What I say here is a answer, an answer that it is a true story from one such artisans, but it does not mean that that's the story. There's so many story which is not introduced, which I cannot introduce because I don't know. The whole problem is happening because some are defining their stories as the Sashiko and ignoring others' stories, because by introducing the other Sashiko stories, then they will lose their credibility, so they will lose their, I don't want to say the authority, but authenticity will be lost because they're not lying, but they're not right. They're not. It's not wrong, but it's not complete. While they're saying complete, so it's kind of false statement from that perspective. So I don't know. That question is really really difficult. Very good question. At the same time, it's really really difficult. And I kind of understand how this question comes from. And this is the advice I often get. In order to achieve what you want to do, you have to be the authorities. Yeah. And probably many people think like that. My whining, like when my friends, you here, are trying to help me out to get out of this kind of whatever pain or suffering or whining, whatever. And they have answers. Many American or English Western people have the answers, and their answers are very straightforward, and it's like a straight line. And I understand that. That's probably the way, the fastest way to achieve what I want to, not achieve, no, actually achieve what I want to do in the second place, which is to be the authority. If I accept myself to be authority, I think I can. I think I can. I can define this Sashiko and then I can say everything else is not Sashiko. And some people may disagree. Well, some people will disagree, but some people will follow me. If you keep watching my live streaming, that's not true, right? That you know that that's not true. My Sashiko is Sashiko within the story of myself. So it is a story, but it's not the story. Those are the very clear distinctions that I make. But if my goal is to protect the stage that I want the Sashiko artisans to keep dancing, then defining the authority will be the remedy. It's like a very good silver bullet to reach that. But by doing that, I will lose something very, very fundamental, and I wouldn't really call that authority as Sashiko. I don't want to. And I don't want to is the kind of short-term feeling, short-term vision. In long term, that will not preserve Sashiko. It cannot be the person who preserves Sashiko. That's the whole problem that I'm facing. Because I'm from the family cannot be the person. The family is not big enough to preserve this type of culture. Not individual, not the family, not a group. In order to protect this kind of cultural context, it has to be a group of anonymous people, which is they are not connected. So it cannot be one specific organization or one specific person or one specific company, because when one person or one company make a lead, there will be authority, even if they don't plan to. So what's happening right now with this thimble is the kind of sample or example of what I'm trying to explain right now. This became so normal, right? This became so normal before 2016. This was not normal, but this became normal. Not because of the one person or one organization, because of this becomes ordinary, this will be left behind. So what I'm doing is quite great. I don't want to compliment myself, but what I have done in last 8 years is what I really, really wanted to do. It's purely luck. I did not have a strategy to make it happen. It's a purely luck. But the kind of footsteps that I can see is quite, oh wow, that's brilliant. Now I have to kind of recreate the same or similar strategy. Now I have to be mindful to make that. So like, maybe the word is I cannot pronounce that. Just a second. I don't even know that word. Ennui. It's French, probably. Ennui. I think I know that little bit from. I don't know if this is this Japanese. Is this the meaning for that? Oh, my status. Okay, my status is probably so. Probably so. Well, I can describe my status. It's the depression supported by the medication. So I am taking the medication. If I were not to take the medication, I would be depressed by now, pretty badly. So I wouldn't be probably doing the live streaming for many weeks, maybe month. But yeah, I use the medication to control that ups and down. I mean, kind of bipolar-ish. So I know that I don't go that down. So I kind of knew that it could be a form of depression because I do have that kind of history, so it could be that. And I felt similar way. There's so many. The things I'm explaining right now is the after story. I'm just trying to be as logical as possible to explain what was going on. It may be something more than that, or it may be more simpler than that. But you know, I would like to be as logical as possible when I kind of old explanation. I don't old explanation, but I would like to explain, you know, what's going on. That's that's my approach to this live streaming or even sharing Sashiko. So, but that can be a little bit of complicated or even unnecessary story to share. After all, my goal is I want everybody to enjoy Sashiko. Um, and as long as they're enjoying Sashiko, as long as they enjoy Sashiko itself, the pain won't be that bad. But it's kind of shifting right now, so you know. Well, we are ready to surprise the world. And I probably said that so many times last year, and we are ready, and things are building up. I'm not doing nothing. I'm doing something at some point. So it's building up, and then there's a reason that I say that we are ready to surprise the world. But the pain or suffering or the pain is very difficult to explain. It's just frustration, sadness. I don't know the other word, but the feeling that you really don't want to. The feeling that somebody grabs your heart and then kind of. The distinction you made was very helpful and nuanced. I don't remember exactly those who like what they get when they say they like Sashiko. Those who like what they get when they say they like Sashiko. Well, it really depends. And tricky part is that they don't say that. And those who say that I like what I can get by saying Sashiko are not that big of issue because they they live in a completely different world. So if they are saying that they like the outcome of saying that I like Sashiko, I think I can befriend. That transparency is not something I'm worried about. The problem is that there are people who are acting like it, but they say that they like Sashiko. So what they say and what they do are not matching. That's the issue. So I think that article on Patreon may be available to the public yet, but when Nike made Sashiko sneakers, they said that they didn't say it out loud, but I pretty much assumed that they don't know anything about Sashiko and they don't like Sashiko. They like the outcome, the trend of them saying that the word meant something. And there was actually another guy saying that I asked him, like, why do you tag Sashiko with the hashtag? And he said, well, I like For some reason, followers comes and then they follow me if I put it hashtag Sashiko. So I'm using that, and I didn't find it as a problem because that's the marketing, that's the strategies. But I don't really find it as a problem, like a bigger problem. It's not like something I encourage others to do, but it's not something I'm scared or worried about because they will not change the figure of it. They will move on to something else when the trend changes. The second group can be split into two. One is like that, who is very, very honest or even straightforward about what they're doing. But there are other half or even like 80% of the people in that group hide the fact that they like the outcome of Sashiko, because if they say that, then they will lose their credibilities. I'm quite sure that there are quite many Sashiko teachers who don't stitch. It's assumption, and I know that in the U.S., in the Western culture, assuming is very bad thing, or telling others what they're doing is a horrible things to do. But that's quite true to the story. It's impossible to teach and stitch simultaneously. One has to give up one. I am giving up one stitching. So I keep saying I'm not stitching as much as I want. And, not even close. Teaching if they're not teaching at all, if their teaching style is that, let's enjoy Sashiko together with using some of the, kit, and then their thing is that they spend time together, they being there. If the being next to the people who is teaching is the teaching, then that's a different story. But teaching comes with a lot of preparation and commitment. And I did not know that I cannot stitch this much. So that goes to the writing too, introducing too, and doing business too. Those are time consuming unless they hire somebody, and if the person is I don't think so though. That's a problem if they are hiring the writers to write their book too. There's nothing wrong with the ghost writers. I'm just saying, if that's what they're doing, they have to kind of at least imply that. So, and I have been kind of complaining about it for a while, and from now on, from 2025, because of my second goal, I probably have to be more articulate about it. I don't confront to them directly. I don't, pick somebody's up and then grill it on the live streaming. It's not my intention to do it, but I have to probably articulate more, describe more that what is the problem. And that might not be that might not be what the main people wants to hear, because Sashiko has become happy stitching. They don't want to hear the stories behind it. If the Sashiko is not happy stitching, they don't want to do it. Sashiko has become the consumption to relax. It's really it's consumed as Western's entertainment, or if we include the meditation as the entertainment, Zen as the entertainment, then yes, it's consumed in the entertainment. Same as yoga. It might be a little bit violence to make it the same way, but it has become like an entertainment. You're gonna write that book. Well, I will do my best. Ay, ay. Well, but I am not hopeless. I'm not hopeful, but I'm not hopeless because you're here. Because there are so many people who still are trying to stick with me. I am not like what I understand that what I'm trying to do is very, very, very difficult. Because I am not offering what is expected in this culture. And I do it on purpose because the simpler answer, the modified or fabricated answers, unfortunately will fabricate the something important. So I can fabricate everything and then modify it to the answers that they feel comfortable with. But I believe that that's not what you here are wanting. Your goal, your hope is to understand what it really, really is. And my live streaming, my teaching itself is not probably enough to reach that understanding. That's why, you may have many, many questions or struggles. And my stories is this live streaming and Instagram and everything are the kind of like the dot that I can offer. And then by them learning or, jogging down those dots, one day that might connect. And then after they see the connection of those dots, it may be start appearing in the picture. And then your question is, why don't you just share the picture then? I just don't know the picture yet, too. I am still in the process of figuring out what kind of picture it is. I see probably more than the others, but it may be something else. We don't know. It may look like a cat, but it may be just a tiger. I don't know. That's a very bad analogy. I'm sorry. That makes just confusion. The picture I'm seeing is just not the whole picture. It's not a completed picture. It's a to be perfect picture, to be complete picture. So and I'm not trying to be mean or stingy to share that. It's just simple answers only bring the simple. And simple answer only bring the simplified version of that. And if that's what I want, I would have done that already. I want to try my best to preserve as is. So many people expect to be treated as the guest. So they want to go to Japan, and what they expect is the tourism. So they would like to go to the tourist places, and many people offer the entertainment for the tourist. But that's not the whole picture of Japan. The tourist only learn what tourists can learn. Guest can learn what the guest can learn. And the problem I see right now is that those guests who decided to spend more time in Japan are being the guide to another guest, saying that I know everything about Japan. So there are no local people involved in that case scenario, but there are local people in Japan. But the local people's life or the experience by local people are not designed or fabricated or modified to meet the standard or expectation of the tourist. So they don't match. At the same time, though, they are a tourist who wants to experience that. And there are probably more serious people who wants to be part of that. And those people will probably move to Japan. And you here are kind of those who wants to visit Japan to experience something very local and who may be thinking about moving to Japan if the condition matches. And people here are saying, well, I mean, I'm done with the tours, like touring things. I would like to do more than that. That's why you're here. If you're perfectly fine with the organized tour, organized entertainment for the tourist, then you wouldn't be here because you can get that very easily with a much simpler, easier way to learn. But you're here to listen to this kind of, mumbling because you believe that there is something behind it. And I hope that I'm sharing something more local. But this tourism analogy of the tourism is one way to explain that. I would love to go to Japan just to see all the artisans things like Sashiko and metalwork. That's gonna be a very good trip. At the same time, it is very difficult to see the Sashiko we define as the Sashiko because they don't show it. Those people who show Sashiko as for the tourist are not representing the whole picture or even the important part of the picture. So I've been convincing many people who are carrying those core of Sashiko who does not want to share their Sashiko. They don't want to even, not only sharing or teaching, but they don't want to even show their Sashiko to others. So Sashiko Japan Retreat I offer is the closest things I can organize to kind of involve the guest to the local experience as much as I can. But that still is the kind of fabricated version or modified version. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the modified or designed version. It is a step. It's a step. Everybody has to start with one step, and then that's a very good step to enjoy the essence of it from those who are willing to share. The problem happens when we simplify that. That's the everything about it. So visiting Japan for a month, visiting all the prefectures, looking around the artisans' work every day is a great experience. It's gonna be a lot. It can be like it can be a great field work. It can be a great experience. You may be able to write a book about it, but it does not represent one culture, one practice. I mean, we can write a book about that experience, but that does not mean that one can start teaching about one specific practice. And it is very simple and easy to see that when it comes to the bigger picture, like a culture. But when it comes to the practice, like Sashiko, for some reason, many people don't find that strange. Like, think about it. How one can represent the whole picture? Like, what? How one can say that my teaching is one stop for all Sashiko without even speaking Japanese? I mean, they might know something about Sashiko, but the Japanese who are born in Japan and fluent in Japanese as the mother language are saying that it's impossible to define the whole Sashiko because it's everywhere. But there are people who are saying they know everything about it. Okay, fine. That's the incorrect. That's a misleading sentence. They might know a Sashiko, but they are changing that a Sashiko to the Sashiko, and that's the problem. And that's the problem I have to speak up more clearly and more articulately. That's probably not a word. I have to articulate that. Okay, I will stop stitching after this much thread. I don't like leaving the thread on the fabric. It clarifies what you've been saying for me. Oh, thank you, Sue. I don't know what clicks, so I keep saying everything I can think of. It's so difficult to kind of. I wish I were kind of. I don't want to say smart, but I were smart, smart enough to catch that keys, but it's the same with any kind of process. One way of doing something isn't the same everywhere. Yep. And you say that as if it's the common sense, right? It's the same with any kinds of process. And you're very true. You're very true. But and I agree with you 100%. But the way we think is very unique in this world right now. So that is the problem. If everybody thinks like that, I wouldn't be speaking up. Because everybody's gonna be so humble. I would like to be humble, but if I become humble, then something important will be lost. So I keep saying this, but you here, or who comes this live streaming so often, who watching this as an archive, are not the people who I have to deliver the message to. We are on the same side. We are on the same page. So we don't really, like this conversation is not really the message. It's just once again whining that this world sucks. Not a sucks, but this it's not happening the way we want. But those people who I need to deliver the message don't spend the time for this kind of things because that's not part of their priorities or even their interest. And I hope that the people like us can be or are the majority of the human being, because like if I start teaching quilting, that's the end of the story. I know that I cannot teach quilting no matter how much I fake myself. 15 years from now, I may be, but I cannot say that I represent the whole picture of quilting. That's not even humbleness. That's like, being sincere or being truthful. Saying something, it's a false statement. It's a misleading description. And if it's like a product, it can be violation of something. But for some reason, when it comes to culture, that does not become the problem. Well, unless somebody raises it as a problem. If somebody flags it as the problem, then that becomes a problem, but it's not significant enough to focus on that. So I really appreciate you being here and then sharing some of your perspective, but the discussion here is very helpful to me. I really enjoy that. At the same time, that doesn't change much because we are already on the same page. We can agree each other, but they don't probably even want to discuss about it because YouTube is definitely full of people teaching things they don't completely know. Yep, but that became normal. YouTube, short, Instagram stories, everything. So everybody, every individual in the society with the smartphone can or has the possibility of becoming the media. And what we, like audience, are looking for is the instant gratification or like quick answers. When we Google, when we watch YouTube, we are looking for the answer, right? That's who we are. We ask Google to get the answer, not the full stories behind it. So it is the world standard right now. And that's why I'm kind of suffering, because that's what I'm trying to do. What we are talking about here is going against the flow. And in different field, I may be part of the other side of the group because, I'm also looking for the quick and easy solution. So once again, I am not saying that looking for the quick answers or, instant resolution is not a bad thing. What I'm saying, what I'm accusing, or what I'm finding as the problem is that making a false statement or kind of fake it is the issue. So if I start saying that I am what is it gonna be? I am like a I'm the Japanese ethnic quilting expert, blah 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 blah. Then you can find it like that's bullshit. But if I really need the money, I might start saying that. So yes, like we cannot mix useful and truthful together. It can be both, but it can, like, we all know that it's not always coming together. So quickness and useful can be a part of truthfulness, but it cannot be the exactly same as the. Of course, they should be linked, but All right. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. I did not plan to go over a little bit today, but it was nice talk. I enjoyed that. Thank you so much for coming here. And my live streaming used to be more focusing on fun and more experiment. I was the one who was doing something crazy, But now that play, the crazy play, joke, humor is becoming the truth, and I cannot make jokes anymore because joke is joke because because we know that it's a joke. When everybody becomes serious about what I say, then it's not gonna be a joke. It's not funny. I may think it's funny, but if they think it's truth, then it's not gonna be funny. So that's why I kind of shifted my live streaming to something like this. But I think that's something we have to go through at this moment. So anyway, there's nothing going on in front of the camera, so please bring your Sashiko stitching when you come to my live stream so you can stitch together. And if you're watching this as the archive, please leave the comments, please leave the questions. Once again, not the technical questions. Don't answer me how to use the thimble, how this thread, because that's not gonna happen because it's already on the YouTube. Please watch that. But other cultural stories or questions are very much appreciated. Okay, and I hope I will see you next Thursday. I hope I can come back. I believe I can. Meanwhile, if you could like this live streaming by pressing the like button, it will help me to have the healthier channel. So that will be very much appreciated. It's Thursday night, so I hope you have a good night if you are in this side of the world. If you're other side of the world, it's Friday, so I hope you have a great Friday as well as the great weekend. Thank you so much and have a good night. Bye bye.